cloud. Okay, sweet. Man, I always forget to record, so I'm glad I just caught that. But yeah, as I was saying, so any questions, just throw them down in the group chat. I'll try to address them if I see them pop up as is. Otherwise, at the end, I'll kind of open it up as a Q&A. Got some good stuff I want to go over today. First and foremost, very quick tip on increasing your guys' pitch percentage. I'm going to go over, and it's going to be a lot of stuff that I learned back when I actually knocked doors. It's not going to be actually going and knocking doors, but it can be helpful as well. Two, just some points of urgency. I know I touched on some points of urgency in my last call, but points of urgency are always, one second, Mr. 1 second, guys. There's people trying to get on. Cool. We're going to just hold off for 2 seconds. The Charlotte crew is trying to get on. Mr. Noonan did not see the link that I sent, but it was sent. Cool. Now we got them rolling in. As I was saying, just kind of going over the agenda today. So points of urgency, I think things are constantly changing in the industry, as we just saw with interest rates. So wanted to address that, just kind of go into some detail on that. And then lastly, just some tips to get through the winter. I know the winter is sometimes a little bit slowed down with the holidays, things like that. So you'll see that, it's definitely not as slow as a lot of people make it out to be with the whole solar coaster and that idea. I think it is more of a mindset that we can very, very easily power through. It's just more of on an internal level than just blaming external factors. Cool. So jumping right into it, I'm going to share my screen. If I could have someone confirm that we've got it.
Yep.
Cool. Let me start the slideshow here. Still admitting quite a few people, so bear with me. All right, slow down.
Recording in progress.
Slow down. Okay. Cool. Still got some more people. I'm going to just wait 2 seconds, make sure everybody's in here before I start getting into the fat of the presentation. Sorry for the delays, guys. All right, cool. Let's get rolling. So for those who just got in, got some really good stuff today. If any questions come up, just shoot them down in the chat box below. If I see them, I'll get after them as soon as I do. Otherwise, if I miss them, I'll definitely just kind of go over everything at the end and open it up for a Q&A. So still admitting. Okay, I like to see that the group's growing. All right, let's jump into it. So first and foremost, I talked about a little bit of a tip to increase your guys' pitch percentage. It's actually a lot simpler than what most people are probably expecting me to jump onto. It's just simply getting in the door. And let me get this out of the way. None of these boxes are messing up your guys' vision, correct? Nope. Okay, sweet. So again, very, very easy way to just increase pitch percentage, simply getting in the door. I don't think that we put enough emphasis on this in a lot of branches, but I wanted to go over it. So we have to be getting them to not only open the door, but sit. And I would say the most important part of this is actually opening the door. I mentioned that I have a lot of experience with door knocking. A lot of people know that. I've came to a lot of the branches and done trainings for you guys. So I always like to go over a little bit of my experience. I did 6 years of door to door, a lot of doors, PTSD, but it was worth it. But at the end of the day, across 6 years, 3 different products and 6 different states of knocking doors, I kind of got some mind tricks on getting to people to actually open the door. You'd be surprised with how many people are home and they just don't open the door because they don't know who you are. They set this appointment, they kind of forget about it. And again, I ran into it all the time. I'd see 2 cars in the driveway knocking doors, no one answering the door. And it's like, someone's in there. Like, why are they not answering the door? And the simplest answer is because they've had 100 people knock their door. Anybody who owns their home in this chat, can recall the 100 times they've had to get up off the couch, they're watching a sporting event or whatever it may be. And they're like, oh my gosh, another one of these guys. So, instead, if you can shift that mindset and make it seem like there's a reason that you're there, they are far more inclined to open that door. So what I usually do is, right off the bat, you got to look professional. By no means am I talking, and for all the people still coming in, quick update. We're going over increasing pitch percentage, very, very easy way, but some pretty important ways to do it. If we could everybody mute as well, that'd be great. So looking professional, I do not recommend doing the whole suit and tie thing. Doesn't work. That gives off a very salesy vibe, and people just don't really like the whole pressure feel of things. But I would say the more important point to this too is occupied. So, I've mentioned my door-to-door experience, and I used to have the biggest troubles too until someone who is far more experienced in the door-to-door industry showed me some tips. First and foremost, if you are standing right in front of the door, you're looking like every other first, month knocker that's ever tried the door knocking, deal. That's you shouldn't be doing that. First off, you should be looking around, you should be looking at roofs. So then when they look outside, they're wondering what the heck this guy is doing on their doorstep. And again, if you're looking pretty well dressed, and I'm talking, you don't have to look very, very well dressed, just no baggy jeans, no cut and ripped shirts, anything like that. But I like to look occupied. I'm looking at my iPad, I'm looking at roofs, I'm looking at their roof, and I always have a backpack on. That's the biggest differentiator than just a random door knocker coming. So random door knockers, they're traveling light. Are you kidding me? They're not going to walk 15,000 steps a day around these neighborhoods with a backpack on. So if I have a backpack on, I look like I'm there for a reason. Now, instead, they're working, they forgot they set the appointment. It happens all the time. We get it. However, they get up and they're in the middle of a meeting and they're like, oh, shoot, I forgot. And they know exactly who you are. Because at first they're going to think, oh, it's just another door knocker. They're going to look through that little peephole. And the difference of them and going sitting back down in the chair or opening that door is they're going to think, what is this guy doing? So if you look occupied, that is how you get the door open. And that is our first job as we come there as a closer. I mean, obviously we got to drive to the appointment, but the most impactful is getting them to open that door, because then we can have a conversation. We've all had those, 6, 7, 8 o'clock appointments where the lights are on and it's like, okay, there's no way that someone's not home. They're home. We know that, again, the car's in the driveway, lights are on, but for whatever reason, they just don't open that door. I had one last night. I looked as occupied as I possibly could. It didn't work. So don't get me wrong. It's not like if you go looking around the roof on your iPad, every single door is going to pop open for you. But I can promise you that you will see just a higher ability to speak to an individual if you have a little bit more of a professional look, as well as, sorry guys, I'm still letting people in. So a little bit more of a professional look, as well as just being occupied there. So from there, as soon as they open the door, you're going to get a lot of no's. And again, it's something we just need to be able to roll with. We hear no's through objections throughout our entire pitch, but then a lot of times we hear the first no at the door and we decide to turn around and kick rocks. Absolutely not. I think just on my deals alone, I probably have 12 that I can think of, and probably more that if I would have taken the no for an answer and walked away, I would have never gotten to a final design. And for anybody who's been in a while, quick math, I mean, that's another $14,000 a year that just through a simple push, I was able to get them to sit. And I mean, it's like, I play a little bit of the sympathy card too. I'm like, look, man, like I just drove all the way from Fort Collins, which is where I'm located. I don't care if it's 20 minutes away. I don't care if it's an hour away. I just drove all the way from Fort Collins, man. Like, hey, I'd really appreciate it if you could just sit and take a couple minutes. I promise I'm not going to be the guy to hold you hostage in your own house and sit here all night. I'm a busy guy too. But again, I made the drive out here. You have 20 minutes to entertain me. And almost every time they feel terrible. They're like, yeah, come on in, let's go. Now, also, I want to kind of backtrack too. A lot of people don't know exactly what they signed up for. It's quick. They've got a baby crying. They're like, yeah, we want to look at solar suite, set up an appointment. You need to be the director. You need to let them know, cool, what I need a table so I can set up. You have a table that we can sit at. Oh yeah, come on in. Because they don't know if it's an outdoor thing. They don't know if they're going to have to go walking around the house and take measurements. They don't know if they're letting you on the roof. Again, a lot of these sets are quick. And even through my pest control days, as well as, knocking for solar, as well as knocking for windows. It's usually very quick in and outs. Cool. Got a time, name, email. Sweet. We'll see you on Tuesday. So remind them what you guys are going to be doing. So if they do give you a no, they set up an appointment for a reason. So the no is like laughable. Like I never take no for an answer. It's like, okay, well, sweet. Then, I know you, and here's a little bit of a tip too. Always think of or always look in the notes and find who set the appointment, whether it's the sales dev or whether it's the setter. Well, hey, I know you spoke to Jerry on Tuesday. I know it was a quick conversation, but did he probably tell you about the tax credit or savings? Like, what got you interested in even setting this thing? And they're, well, I don't really remember. Okay, well, cool. And now you've got a door. You've already laid out two of the ideas. Well, sweet. That's why most people are looking into it. There's a ton of savings. There's government incentives. I mean, when's the last time the government's paid you to do something? And, at the end of the day, why write your system when you can own it? And then now they're starting to think about things. And then maybe it trips a little bit of a trigger of the, some ideas that they did talk about, because some of these setters have really great conversations with them. But I mean, it's like any foreign subject. If you aren't trained on the, what net metering is and all that, as soon as they close the door after setting the appointment, it's all gone. So you absolutely have to, and that's why the previous point is so important. You're not taking no for an answer. I laugh when I hear no. Cool. No, I totally agree. You're probably busy. I am too. But here's the deal. A lot of people are jumping on board. I saw the neighbor down the street, as soon as I pull in the neighborhood, has it. If you talk to them, well, I know they're saving money. And here's the deal. If you give me 20 minutes, I'll show you how you can save money. So it starts getting them thinking. And again, if you throw that on top with a little bit of a sympathy play, they let you in the house. They absolutely will. But I know it's a bit tough, you guys, like come to the 6, 7, 8 o'clock appointments. You've had 3 or 4 that day and they're like, yeah, we're not interested. Cool. See you later. I'm going to get dinner. But if those are the ones that can absolutely be final designs, if you just push a little bit harder for them. So from there, and again, same point. Why'd you click on the ad? Why'd you talk to the setter? So there's different ways of, bringing it about. If it is a paid advertisement lead, hey, I know you talked to Michelle, where did you click on that ad? Just get them talking. If you just take no and it's the end of the conversation, then they think, oh, cool, I won. If you just keep talking, you'd be surprised what you can get people to commit to when you just keep talking. There's so many people who told me no when I was trying to sign them up for pest control. 5 minutes later, I was getting the credit card information into an iPad. And if you would have, I would have loved to have some of these voiceovers or, voice recordings, like people who are adamantly like, no. And then you just get them talking. It's like, I know, well, Jerry down the street, he was seeing spiders. It's literally the only reason I came over and knocked doors. And then, oh yeah, I saw a spider last night. Gotcha. Oh, you're getting pest control now. So, same thing with solar. I know someone down the street. Oh yeah, I saw that. Well, cool. Why didn't you ever talk to him? Have you ever been curious? Yeah, I was kind of wondering why they got that installed. Sweet, I'm here right now. I'll tell you. So from there, and again, this is all in relation to your pitch percentage. So as closers, I know it's very easy for us to constantly go outward with our problems. It's the sales dev people not following up. It's the the setters not following up. It's certain things like that. That's absolutely the wrong mindset. Because there are a lot of things we can control. A lot of those no's that we get at the door, those are absolutely potential clients. And when I first started with Blue Raven, I was doing strictly self-gen. There was no leads coming into, my pipeline whatsoever. And it was in the middle of winters when I started too. So it's fun in Colorado, as a lot of you who were on here earlier, we got 5 inches last night. But anyways, instantly I would go through neighborhoods and then sometimes I'd go knock back and I would see people who told me no with panels a couple months later. And I remember vividly the conversation and how it went. And I almost had them there and I, walked away at the last no. So if you can just power through that last no, I promise you, again, any experienced rep on this call right now will think they're already thinking of 5, 10, 15 accounts that they have under them that easily were no's if they didn't push through. So control the controllable as much as you can. And here's kind of the last power line I usually throw out there. Hey, look, if I could save you thousands of dollars for 20 minutes, you think that's going to be worth your time? And if they say no, I laugh and I say, man, you must be real important, but hey, I hope you have a good night. But seriously, like if they're not willing to take 20 minutes out of their day to save thousands of dollars, one, man, they got money. They don't, whatever, see you later. Like it's okay. Otherwise too, I mean, they value their time a little bit too much. But the more realistic thing that comes out of this is they're like, no, absolutely. Like 20 minutes for couple $1,000, like sweet, let's sit down. And I mean, in most cases, if they take the tax credit, it's many, 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 many thousands of dollars. So again, super big power line. I usually throw out as like a last resort. Don't use this as like your first means of ammunition. You want to kind of go through some of the, hey, why did you set the appointment? Get them opened up, talking a little bit. And then secondly, dive a little bit into, some more of the specifics. Look, there's federal tax credits involved. There's also, it's flatlining your utility costs. Everybody's seeing their bill go up. That's why we're meeting with everybody on the block. So, then they're starting to get some of that bandwagon effect going. And lastly, if they're still just like, nope, 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 cool. Well, if I could save you thousands of dollars for 20 minutes, you think that'd be worth it? And generally 9 times out of 10, they're going to let you in. So cool. Just first thing I wanted to go over was getting in the door. Next thing, a little bit, this is for my Chicago people. So you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I'm Jay, baby. And that's so true. It really is. Like if you take every no in your life, then man, you are missing out on a lot, especially if you're in the world of sales. So keep pushing through, keep grinding it out. All right, next, points of urgency. So I was talking to some of the people who were here earlier on the call. I know I went over points of urgency the last time I presented is about a month ago. However, the points of urgency are constantly changing, as we just saw recently with interest rates. There's one that's even a little bit more applicable now that we enter some of the winter season. So some of these, 2 of them are going to be the same, but then I've added 2 as well. So again, I love always going over points of urgency, because if I just said, what my points of urgency would be in the summer versus spring, fall, winter, I mean, that'd be doing you guys a disservice as well. I always want to give you guys, again, as many, bullets in the belt as we can. So first and foremost, something we've already talked about, but I wanted to pull up some stats on, increasing prices, materials, absolutely going up. Anybody who's been throughout this whole year, I would gauge probably at least 15% in solar. I mean, just a lot of these materials coming from overseas, there's issues with getting them over here. Luckily, Blue Raven has been amazing with their supply chain, so we've had no hiccups. However, I mean, if you look at inflation alone, we're close to 8% in 2022. This is what I got off the internet yesterday. And we're more than that. So everybody knows, this is just taking $100 last year and what you could buy. It's $107.90, $108, coming up on next year. That's a big, big increase. So, start thinking of it this way too. Like for anybody who's like, well, eventually we want to do it. We kind of just want to wait right now. It's like, cool. Well, your $35,000 system very might well be 42 the next time you look into it a year and a half down the road. It's like, instead, this loan isn't, the loan amount's not adjusting, the loan amount's fixed. So it's like, don't do yourself a disservice on waiting for material costs to go up. Jump on it now. And this is very applicable across the interest rate as well, which I'll touch on a little bit more in depth in a minute. But the next portion is utility costs. And this is probably the more important part, because a lot of times they're not necessarily caring about material costs. They're more important on what they're having to pay now. So it's like, okay, well, what do you think is going to happen in the next, couple of years with utilities? We've only seen jumps happening that have far outweighed anything we've seen in the past. It's becoming a scary time. And quite frankly, your utility bill is a massive liability. You're stuck paying it. And generally in most markets, there's only one provider. So if they wanted to go as crazy as doubling your rates next year, you're stuck with it. So now instead, you have another option. And now, again, this is something that's really well integrated in my pitches. I pit them against the utility company. I make them almost resent them. So for them, they start thinking, they're like, that's BS. Like how, I never even thought of that. Why is ComEd the only utility company? Why is Xcel the only utility company? It makes no sense for them. Dominion, you can keep going. A lot of these states that just have one utility provider. So, instead it's like, look, come see the, grass is greener over here. Like check out what we've got. So next point I wanted to touch on is seasonal benefits. So every single point throughout the year, there's a benefit that you can hit on. Specifically now is going to be hitting before the high summer bills. So, for people who are like, oh, we'll check on it in the spring, be like, that's a terrible idea. And I love just kind of breaking character and being real with people throughout my pitch. Actually, it's not even a pitch, it's a conversation. You know, the longer you guys have been doing it, the more it becomes just a conversation than it is you really pitching them. Of course, you got the one-liners that, you know, are kind of in there. But overall, I'm like, no, you do not want to be a part of the wave that comes in the spring. We see it every year. It backs permits out another 4 months. And the people who decide to come looking at it in April don't get it done until September, October, and they paid all the high bills. And then they're just waiting on permits. It's like, if anything, you need to be ahead of that curve. The people getting it done now are the individuals who are smart. And what do people instantly think? I want to be smart. They don't want to be a part of the dumb people. So they're going to instantly want to, you know, they're going to instantly be a little bit more open to seeking out, you know, everything now rather than 4 months down the road when it is far too late. So next point of urgency, the tax credit. Lately, you know, and a lot of people think that we just lost all urgency with the tax credit as soon as it was extended. We had a little bit of urgency before we dipped into the end of the year. And the reason being is, of course, we were able to, you know, push, hey, we want to get you the tax credit this year. Lately, I've been even kind of throwing it out there like, look, the tax credit's 30%. I mean, this is the most they've paid in quite some time. I mean, even in my career in solar, I've seen 30%, 26, potentially 22 to 0, and then jumps to 26 and then 30. I mean, it's just been a wave. But the one thing we've seen very, very recently with legislation, I'm not going to touch on it, but there's one that's pretty crazy everybody knows about. I mean, things get overturned all the time. And so it's like, this by no means to cause any fear. I am confident the tax credit will stick around. However, it's a seed that you can plant. Like, look, this is the most the government's going to give you now. And when's the last time the government has knocked on your door and decided to give you money? It's the exact opposite in every other scenario. They're usually like, hey, we're here for our taxes this year. So instead, they're wanting to help you out by simply sticking glass on the roof. And heck, even in 2 months, they decide, you know, hey, everything's going crazy. We don't have it in the budget. They get rid of the tax credit. You're out. So if we can get you installed, if we can get you on the, you know, get you at least, you know, scheduled, then you're going to get that tax credit. Next, the elephant in the room everybody wants me to talk about, interest rates. So I'll tell you first and foremost, it was very sudden for all of us. By no means was, you know, I or the manager or your branch holding out on information. SunPower kind of dropped it on us pretty quick. It's good that we still have other options. I mean, the SunPower 399 is still very competitive across the GoodLeap 299. SunPower has some of the lowest dealer fees across a lot of these financiers. So if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it if you're new to the industry. Regardless, just know that having that in-house option is a huge, huge, huge advantage for us. Even if it jumped to 399, we're still seeing it cheaper than GoodLeap loans, which is what most other companies are offering. Also, you know, being in Colorado, I had been seeing 399 loans for some time across competitors while we still had 199. So there's going to be, you know, you're going to run into random proposals still flaunting the 199, 299. I call BS on it, quite frankly. Everybody who is following, you know, federal rate increases, et cetera, we know that it's getting pretty bad. But I think we're going to have a very, very long timeline on the 399. So don't think we're going up to 799 tomorrow. But, you know, the interest rate increase, I use it as a proof for future increases. I mean, I tell people, you know, look, like we used to be as low as 199. We're still at 399, and it's all about the excitement. So like if you, and the beauty of this loan is it's fixed. So it's not like, you know, if you get in with 399 today, if things go up, it's not adjustable. It's not going to go up on you. But if you relate it to other loans right now, which is very, very important, people are going to see how low we actually are. Another stat I pulled from the internet yesterday, or this is literally on the 23rd, the national average for a HELOC right now is 7.93. So a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. And essentially, and a lot of people, they go and they take a home equity line of credit out instead of doing the solar financing. So I hit massively on the fact that we have in-house financing that offers you a rate half as much as a HELOC. It's all about being able to shift the customer's mindset and look at the positivity, which is kind of the next point here. If you go into it and you instantly are gritting your teeth and you're like, I don't want to break it to them that we jumped to a 399, then you've already failed. And instantly, humans are far better at reading facial gestures and just body language than we even believe. I mean, anybody in sales who's read a bunch of books, it's in a ton of the sales books, but they pick up on it. So if you're like, yeah, we're still at 399, they're like, yeah, well, that sounds terrible. Instead, I'm like, you wouldn't believe what we're still able to offer. We got 399. You know what a HELOC costs? 8. So we're like cutting national average on a HELOC in half. I don't know how, man. I really don't. I mean, I imagine we're probably going to jump up to 499, 599. We'll creep up there, but yeah, luckily right now they see a low default rate. So you pay your utility bill, you're going to pay the solar. So yeah, I'm able to offer you still 399. Instantly a change, and yeah, we used to be 1.99, but we got 399 now.
What?
So going off that positivity thing, if you're not positive about it, that's okay.
Almost
Kickstart the bike. If everybody can mute themselves, that'd be great.
Halloween's over.
Corey.
Equipment.
Corey, mute yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Nope, all good. Cool. Where was I? Positivity. So there's an analogy I was actually reading about recently, and I kind of liked it. So every time, and it's like kickstarting a bike, think about a dirt bike or motorcycle or whatever it may be. Even if it is, and it's not going to sting for anybody who's been in or who's new to the industry, but for those who saw it down at 0.99, 1.99, it's like, the craziest thing is happening. We're going up, but it's going up everywhere. Again, compared to other industries, compared to other loans, we're still in an awesome place. But every time you tell someone, pretend to be the happiest you possibly can about the 399, and every single time you're kickstarting that bike. And anybody who's done a kickstart, it doesn't go the first time. But you start hearing that engine rumble, boom, 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 boom. And then you're still positive. And really what's going to start, sinking things in is when a customer reacts and you're like, look, we're still at 399. And people are like, that's not bad. And then instantly that bike starts kicking more and more until finally that thing just turns and it goes. So that was even when I pitched my first 399, I was like, ooh, like it's a lot different than saying 199. So I told them, yeah, like we got a 399 still. Like we're super excited about it. It's awesome. I don't know. It's probably gonna go up. We know it. So I can at least offer it now. And the guy was like, dang, 399, that's not bad. And I was like, HELOC's at 8. He's like, that's really not bad. And that instantly started making me even believe in it a little bit more. Like 399, guys, we're still in really good position. So yes, it's a higher, monthly payment. We've all seen the props, but at the end of the day, if you approach it with positivity, you kickstart that bike, I guarantee you're going to see just on the expressions and, the customers' reactions, you're going to realize it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, they're seeing way higher interest rates across any other industry. So from there, it's not just us. Every company is going up. And again, just from Colorado's standpoint, I already saw these higher loans before. So for me, it's just like, I knew we were getting there. So, again, the whole fact of this page is it's okay. It's just kind of a newer way to approach it. But then from there, last thing I wanted to kind of go over here with you, and then I'm going to open it up on more Q&A. So powering through the winter. The winter could be a little bit slow only because we choose for it to be. And this is, heck, we'll even see it in permitting through the city, just everywhere. Everything slows down. It's the holidays. So my first piece of advice, and, again, back when I first started the Blue Raven a couple of years ago, I was strictly knocking doors. So this was like the hardest time period for me. However, I set a 90-day goal starting in December. So we're going right into it. I think it's tomorrow or 2 days. Actually, Thursday, I think is the 1st. So December, January, February. These are going to be the most impactful months. Generally, we make quarterly goals. I like to do more of the holiday goals. Just power through the winter months, get on through it. And that, let's say if you have a schedule, you got trips planned, you're going back, meeting with family. We want you guys to take time off. Absolutely. However, that's if that it might put you back on a goal, you want to work twice as hard to get ahead of it. Again, this is by no means, me trying to just say, yeah, you got to power through the holidays, work on Christmas. Absolutely not. Like, I hope you guys all enjoy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys took a ton of time off. I know I did. It was well needed and it felt great. I ate way too much food, but the gym has been calling my name. But regardless, just being able to set a goal and actually work towards it. And then once you obtain it, it's going to feel 10 times better. And then once that goal is done, great. We're working into March, prime time, solar season. But, again, overall, the winter is an amazing time to sell for 2 reasons. One, I've kind of already explained. You're able to get in a ton of people who want to have the summertime bills eliminated. So that's the time that they need to be starting the permitting process, et cetera. Secondly, most utility companies are going to start talking about their rate increases about mid-December. They announce them and then they implement them on January 1st. So it's a lot easier, and again, you're talking about all these increases, you're kind of spreading the belief, why solar is the solution. So identify the problem, tell them the solution type of thing. However, with what's going on with inflation, et cetera, it's a lot easier when you can go to a house and say, hey, did you see the difference on your bill? Yeah, it went up a little. Yeah, they just jumped 15% on you. What do you think they're going to do the rest of the year? They did rate increases last year. They're continuing to do so. I mean, it's getting a bit unrealistic. And it's like, okay, if you are fed up, which you should be, what are you going to do about it? There's nothing. You're stuck with them. So instead, come over, check out solar. I mean, again, it's a way to flatline your utility costs against the only opponent, which is continuously rising. So there's a lot of value anytime there's a rate increase to hit even harder on the idea that a fixed rate, you know exactly what you're paying year in, year out. So, by no means, it could be 10 years down the road, this is what you're paying. And any branch that I've done trainings for, this is one that I always talk about, the gas station analogy. So, I think it's very powerful to relate solar to other products or ideas, because sometimes solar can be a little bit foreign. Everybody starts overthinking it. They're like, I just don't get how the sun can supply my lights, my microwave. It just isn't making sense to me. So then I say, okay, well, cool. Look, let's just talk about pricing. Imagine if I went to you, X amount of years ago, whenever gas is $1 a gallon, and I told you, hey, I got a deal for you today. I'll lock in your rate for forever, or no, for 25 years, because 25-year loan. I'll lock in your rate for 25 years at $1 a gallon. And then from there, you got free gas anytime you want. Sounds way too good to be true, right? Well, that's solar. So now that it's like, okay, well, cool. It's the same thing with a loan. You're locking in your rate today. And then after 25 years or 20, depending on what loan term you're selling, then great. You just don't pay for your power anymore. And now they start relating it. They're like, man, every time I've ever filled up, like I've been filling up my tank for 25 years. They're starting to think, well, that's a lot of money I could have saved. And even during that 25 years, if I could have locked in at $1 a gallon, that would have saved me even more money. So it's much more relatable than just saying, yeah, solar, we're somehow capturing the sun's energy and turning on a light for you, which is much more foreign. So gas station analogy is super important. And in the wintertime, always have them pull up a summertime bill. It was an appointment I was at yesterday. The guy was like, my bill's like $90. It's usually not that bad. And I already saw its prop. We were coming in at like 110. So I was like, well, cool. Let me see your summer bills. He's like, they're probably pretty similar. I was like, oh, I know they're not. I got your usage right here. You got your last bill was 500 kilowatt hours and your summertime is 1100. So let me see a summertime bill. It's like 160. So then you can play with the average in your head. Cool. So I'm probably going to put you at an average of like 130, right? Makes sense. Oh yeah, cool. Most people aren't doing quick math. Yeah, sweet. About 130. Well, cool. We're coming in at 110. So you're already beating your bill. Now the difference is when inevitably they raise their rates, continue to go up and up and up, I still got you at the 110. So now, because I've brought up the summertime bill, I've reminded them that, look, don't have this wintertime, this low bill thought in your head, because it's not the case. And every single year in the summertime, it just hikes up. It's inevitable. It's what happens. You turn on the AC. So don't be afraid to make them dig a little bit deeper. And if they start telling you your average, and I usually address it. I usually approach it, because they usually look at their last bill and they think of that. So they're like, cool, solar's got to beat this. Nope. Solar's got to beat your yearly average. And if you account for that summertime usage, it is a whole different number. I kind of touched on it a second ago. Plan your holiday, guys. A lot of it's like flights, meeting with family, things like that. But, I remember my first year, I was like, cool, take the month off. No one's watching over me. Because I know the job is very flexible. But obviously we don't make money if we don't work, kind of how it is with an independent contractor. So the more you can plan it, have, an approach to your holiday, the better you guys are going to have, or the more money you guys are going to have at the end of it, better you feel about it too. And you'll hit your goal. Cool. So last and certainly not least, this is from my inner door knocker. Smack some pavement when you need to. Don't be the guy or gal who's, it's the last week of the month and you're like, oh, dang it, missed my residual this month. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, it's okay. We'll get them next month. Absolutely not. Go hit some doors. Every single winter, even when there's 5 inches of snow on the ground, I get myself in a mindset that if I'm ever even in the slightest chance of not hitting a residual or hitting my goal, I go hit doors. And I know that if I don't have a certain amount of books by this day or FDs by this day, then I'm going out there. So again, never be afraid to smack some pavement. It goes right back into controlling the controllable. Something I said very early on, look outward, not inward. Do not blame on the external, look internal. Cool, guys. Last and certainly not least, follow-ups. Most people on this call have a massive pipeline. So, if you're not 100% willing to go smack some pavement, go through your pipeline. It takes no time at all. Sit down with a coffee at a Starbucks and don't stand up until you've gotten through every single person. Because I know everybody in here probably has at least, some of the people who have been here longer have at least 10 FDCs sitting there because you've met with a lot more people. But even the newer people, 2-3 FDCs you can get tomorrow if you went through your pipeline. So definitely see the value in that. Make sure you're following up. Cool. Sweet. I think we're a little over 30 minutes. Well, sweet. That is all I've got here, guys. So I want to open it up more Q&A here. Don't see any questions. I think that should be good. Hopefully that means things made sense or you guys aren't with me anymore.
Lance, can I just say real quick, I was going to just say I love how you were talking about controlling what you can control and not worrying about the rest of it. A lot of folks on this call probably know Grant Cardone. I've been listening to his new audiobook lately. He talks a lot about that. It's amazing how your life changes when you start taking responsibility for things and doing what you need to do.
Absolutely. I love it. Another good book, Extreme Ownership, for anybody who's looking for a read. Yeah, really, really good book there. Cool. Anything, guys? Slaps pavement. Yep. So yeah, every time I don't hear right off the bat, I'm like, uh-oh, did I lose them? And I've been talking to the screen for like 30 minutes.
We're here. We're still here.
Okay, sweet.
You can't see everybody smiling and nodding because we're not on camera.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, and every time we do these calls, we try to address some stuff we've talked about, constantly getting new people in. But then also I'm trying to drop some nuggets with new stuff as well. So Gary Brever will be taking back over next week, and then I'll be following up the week after. But it's not like I'm seeing too many questions here. Appreciate all the appreciation, guys. Well, sweet. If you guys have anything, throw it in the chat. I'll stay on here for just a little bit longer, but that just about does it for us.
All right. Have a good day, Lance. Thanks, man.
Yep, I appreciate it. You too.
See you, bud.
Hey, Lance,
Thanks,
I
Lance.
actually do have a question.
Yeah. let's hear it.
Going back to the increasing prices, are we expecting our materials prices to increase next year?
I mean, everything, man.
That's what I thought too.
I mean, hell, even if I went and bought a water bottle at a gas station, it's going up. I mean, not just the simplest of things. So yeah, I'm absolutely anticipating it, and I'm just kind of painting the picture for people, because at the end of the day, like if they ask me, well, how much, I wish I was the one controlling that. It'd be zero. But
Right.
quite frankly, there's much higher powers that are, controlling everything and deciding what is going to be the cost. So it's something that, obviously I'm not, like a fear, what do you call it? Like, I'm not trying to implement fear with homeowners. That's just the wrong approach. They see it as a pressure type of deal. But at the end of the day, I'm very realistic with them. Like, look, interest rates will go up, prices will go up, your utility rates are going to go up faster. So the one solution I have for you today is I can actually have you, or I can allow you to own your solar system. Allow you to own your solar system and flat line utility rate. Sorry, I've been talking a lot today. My brain's about power source. That's what I was looking for. Own your power source. It weirds me out because no one else has it. So I just watch myself talk this whole time. I've been watching myself talk, and it just for whatever reason, does not do well with my brain.
So there's a company in the Chicago area called Certus Sun. They're a partner with Sun Power. They're selling the Maxion panels that we know aren't available right now. Do you know anything about when we're going to have that availability to sell these Maxion panels? Because I've had a couple customers who are pretty serious about solar are going to hold out for these Maxion panels.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we don't have a timeline, and
Okay.
I call BS that they even have them available.
I tell them the same thing.
Maxion, they can't, and at least through rumors, SunPower can't even source a lot of their larger commercial jobs with their own panels, Maxion. So if they can't do that, why would they give them to a small little Certus Sun company to install 10 on a house? When they've got
You're
a
preaching.
way bigger contract to do 10,000 than the field next door.
Preaching to the choir. I say that all the time. Okay, good. I'm glad.
And I mean,
I'm on the same page with
I
you.
was seeing, and I know for a fact REC panels are almost extinct right now still. And I've seen proposals in Colorado with REC, and I tell them, I'm like, did you ask them the timeline? Is it more when we have our panels? Like that's just them getting down payments on contracts, things like that for cash deals. And they're not going to be able to build these contracts anytime soon. Because we had historically been an REC brand, and even us, we've had to figure out different avenues in different markets on just making sure we can source panels.
Cool. You and I are on the same page. That makes me feel good. Thanks.
Cool. Anything else, guys?
Thanks for this,
All right.
Lance. This is great.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, hey, I will let you guys go. I'm going to end the call, but I appreciate you guys jumping on.